Reeves has got me trying out a viral TikTok recipe for you today, but I can tell you if it's viral, then it probably isn't that healthy. Can we make it truly healthy like the Well Your World style? Let's find out together. Hi Reeves.
Hey, Dill.
You've been on TikTok again, have you?
It's a bad habit, but when it leads to great ideas.
It might lead to a great idea. We don't know. This is a recipe we've never tried before. Anti-inflammatory Harissa butter beans.
It's a fancy name.
It is quite a name indeed. Let's see what makes it so special and anti-inflammatory and how it's done. Okay, here she's adding a bunch of, well, there's a lot of oil. Sauteing a few things, that's pretty Well Your World. I like the quick saute step. Throwing in some flavorings, coconut milk, and salt. I think we can improve upon that. Let's talk about this whole anti-inflammatory thing, shall we? What really makes a recipe anti-inflammatory? Shouldn't all of our day-to-day eating be anti-inflammatory? Is there like a recipe that you want to eat that's inflammatory? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. What is it about the Well Your World diet that makes it anti-inflammatory? Well, it's that we've taken out all of the things that make you sick. The animal products that clog your arteries and make you sick, just like the rich processed oils do, the processed refined sugars. Remove those things and you're automatically going to be very anti-inflammatory, just by nature. And that's what we're going for. That's the whole point of the content we make, is to help you get health, and you can't get health if you're eating inflammatory foods. We like to focus on health promoting food, and weight loss is just going to come as a side effect. But if I can remove excess calories from a dish that just don't need to be there and aren't really promoting your health, then I'm going to do it. And coconut milk is a good example. What we love to do instead of full fat or even the low fat coconut milk is a tablespoon of coconut shreds blended up with just a cup of soy milk. Boom, you've got your own homemade coconut milk that is way less rich, and you can use any plant milk that you like. This recipe also calls for harissa paste, which is usually a prepared ingredient that you buy at the store. The problem is they're almost always full of oil and salt, and those are two things we said we want to eliminate from our eating. Let's whip one up. To make it, we like to start with these dried chili pods. You can get them in a number of different flavors. We got the mild here and the medium. You can get hot, extra hot, you name it. All we're going to do is break off the stems, dump out some of the seeds, and simmer these chili pods for a few minutes in boiling water just to soften them. Then we're going to throw them in the food processor with a bunch of other tasty ingredients. How about we use walnuts instead of all that oil? It'll add a little bit of fat, but at least it's whole food fat. Then just blend everything up in the food processor till it's nice and smooth. And there you have a delightful and healthy harissa that you can use in any number of dishes. Reeves, are you ready for some anti-inflammatory beans?
Oh, I'm always ready to be less inflamed.
This one calls for a shallot. I don't have shallot on my regular shopping list. I have a real specific set of ingredients I'm always buying. Red onions is on there, garlic's on there, but not shallot. So you could sub this out for red onion if it's what you got. It's no big deal. Let's dice this thing really small, and we're gonna throw it in the simmer pan with some garlic. Our viral recipe also calls for some sun-dried tomatoes, so let's get those chopped up and throw them in too. When it comes to sauteing, we do not use any oil. Like I said before, it is not a health food, so we have our own veggie broth mix. We whip up a little bit of that, and I just use some veggie broth to keep things from burning or sticking, and you've got a perfect oil substitute for healthy sauteing. Oh my gosh, it smells so good already, just these three ingredients. Wow.
I noticed you didn't start with a hot pan either there, Dill.
Yeah, I'm not a chef. I just throw things in the pan and I'll heat it up. I got an induction stove here which heats up so quickly, so I don't really worry about the whole hot pan thing. Looks like the rest of this recipe is really simple. We just gotta throw some things in and mix this all together. We got our harissa paste. I'm gonna throw in a couple tablespoons worth of that. Our homemade coconut milk, am I right? Next going in is a can of butter beans. I really like this brand. You can find them with no added salt. Beans are really bad when it comes to added salt, so try your best to get beans and tomatoes in the can, no added salt. Let's throw them in, shall we?
Look at that, it's just as pretty as it looks on the internet.
It sure is. I think we're nailing it here, folks.
Still, but what is it about butter beans that's more anti-inflammatory than other beans?
I don't think there's anything special about butter beans. I just think it's nice to change up your bean from time to time. We eat a lot of pinto and black beans. Butter beans is a great change. The original recipe calls for some nutritional yeast. We happen to make our own, and it is super, super good. Wow. This is looking nice, but we gotta get some greens in there. Even the original recipe had a little bit of chopped kale. We better get it in there.
Okay, Mr. Iron Tongue, you wanna taste it and see if it needs anything?
I'm ready to taste, just a little taste. This is our pre-meal taste. I'm not gonna say much.
Your face spoke 1,000 words.
There's a lot of acid in here, the apple cider vinegar, the lemon juice, the tomato paste. We need a little bit of sweetness, but let's use natural sweetness. These are dates, this is our date powder, ground up date sugar. You can get it at the store too, but it just needs a little bit, like a teaspoon of date powder to cut the acid. In the original recipe, she just dipped sourdough bread. That is not exactly health promoting or anti-inflammatory, so we're gonna do rice. I've always got rice ready in the fridge. It's a great tip. So heat up some rice and let's serve this thing right on top. What do you say? If you like a little bit of salt on your food, now's the time to just grab a little pinch and sprinkle on a little salt. Reeves, you came up with this idea, so maybe you'll do us the honors of a taste.
I'd love to. That is definitely a Well Your World approved recipe.
Now that you've tried it, what are your takeaways?
Takeaway number 1 is I would definitely make a double batch.
Yeah, this was a small batch.
Takeaway number 2, what I've learned is this harissa paste. I can use this to make so many different dishes. This is really the takeaway for me, honestly.
Oh, it's rich. It's got lots of these Middle Eastern flavors that I love so much. It's comfort foody. If you cook Well Your World style, every one of your recipes will be anti-inflammatory.
Dill, guess what?
What?
I got another viral TikTok recipe for you to try.